Right, someone on Reddit was asking how to make a puppet that can jump multiple times, as in more than the double jump, I guess. And I just did this quick little test to be able to demonstrate it, and I added some effect, which doesn't look great, but it's okay. So I'll probably show how to make that as well. So let's add a deluxe puppet, because it has the nice jump animation. And it'll demonstrate that the jump animation still works. And we're going to add a microchip for jumping. And we're going to go into the controller logic and remove the normal jump wire, because we're going to completely control it. So actually we're going to put this into here with a node, the X button, remove that entirely. And now the jump stuff in here, the jump settings, the height and stuff, won't do anything. Everything will be controlled in here. So now I'll just implement a very simple jump. So we've got a mover, and we're going to tell the mover to point up so that it shoves the puppet up at full strength, and that should all do fine. And now I'll just plug that straight into there and see what it does. So when we possess the puppet, then if I tap X, then he does a jump, and he has the animations and everything, because that's based on just being in the air and things like that. But if I hold X, now we're just floating forever, and we can keep on pressing it while we're in the air. So first let's resolve flying up forever. We want to know if when the X is first pressed, and that's when we want to jump, just for that moment in time. So let's use a signal manipulator in pulse on input on. So when we'll plug that in there. So when X goes from off to on, this will send a pulse. So then we can use that pulse, which is just a very brief signal, use that pulse to power the mover. So the mover will like turn on and turn on off very quickly. So we'll just get a jump out of it. So now let's try that. So I'm holding X, but nothing. We're not floating up. I'll just prove that here, like that. So if we power this, then while I'm holding X, it will be showing that message. So I never let go, but it just jumps and then falls to the ground just fine. But now we can still jump while we're in the air. So if I keep pressing X, we're just jumping while we're in the air, which is not what we want to do. So let's make a Puppets interface. Now this is the same gadget that is used here. It can take inputs to tell the puppet to do things like walk and lean, and it has outputs like if it's fallen out of the scene, or how much the player is pushing on the left stick to make it move and things like that. It also has on ground as an output, so we can use this to say if we're on ground and a pulse happened, then actually do something. So we'll just put that through an AND gate. So when we start holding X and we're on the ground, then power the mover. So let's have a look at that. So I'll hold X, and if I keep tapping X, nothing happens until we're actually on the ground, just like normal puppet behavior. But now we want to be able to jump as many times as we set up. So we're going to use a counter to count how many times and to limit the maximum number of times. This target value will be the maximum number of times. So let's say we're only allowed to jump 3 times. And this is where we start off at. But then this should power the mover, but also increase the count. So now if we have a number displayer, we can see how many times we've jumped. So I'll move that down a bit. And I'm going to set this to force possession. Yeah, so while we're on the ground, it will add to the, if I reset, while we're on the ground, it will add 1 to the counter and jump. Like that. But then we want it to reset while we're on the ground, because we want to be able to jump 3 times again if we've landed. So then, if we're on the ground, we'll reset. Easy as that. So now we're on the ground and then we jump, and it just goes to 1, but then it resets when we fall to the ground again. But now we want to actually be able to jump more than 1 time, otherwise this counter isn't doing anything. So the counter has this counter full output, which sends a signal when the current count is the same as the target value. So when we've jumped 3 times, that will be sending a signal, and we don't want to be able to keep jumping anymore. So now we want it to work a little differently. We just want to reset the counter while we're on the ground, but we want to be able to jump while we're not on the ground as well. So instead of this AND gate, we're going to use a simple node, and we'll set that to no port, making a through node, and we'll put that into the plus, so that still works the same. That should power that. But now, of course, we can keep jumping even when we're in the air as many times as we want. So let's use the counter again. So the keyframe should now turn off this node, which stops it being able to jump when we've already jumped 3 times, until we go to the ground, and then this is reset and we're able to jump 3 more times. So 1, 2, 3, and then it resets. So I'll just keep on tapping. So we're still only able to jump 3 times, which is cool. I'd like to thank Hyperdream Surfer, Martinity DK, Ascendant Lizard, and all of my other supporters for making this tutorial possible. Check out TAPgiles.com to find out how you can support me in helping Dreams creators. Thanks for your consideration, and I'll see you in the next one.